Welcome to EU Talk. This week we have Emanuela with us. She is the EU Special Representative for the Sahel, and she's just taken part in a panel discussing the way in which the international community can support the region.
It's fantastic to see the room full. There's standing room only at this discussion anymore, and you'll have to open up the wall and we expand into the next room. But I think that's a token of the enormous interest there is in trying to follow what's going on in the Sahel and also trying to hear what it is outsiders can possibly help to bring to that situation. So as we look at how international actors can be most supportive with all the humility one needs to bring to that discussion, we'll be starting first with assessments of the situation. And we're very fortunate to have two brilliant speakers, both deeply engaged in this region for some years. So turning to our panelists, let me invite you first to give your overall assessments of the situation in the Sahel, starting with Emanuela.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled by the full house, which demonstrates the strong interest that there is around the Sahel. And as I always say, there has never been in history so much interest towards the Sahel as there is now, which is very good news, because the Sahel deserves it. And deserves it because from the perspective of the European Union, it is what I actually call the real southern border of the European Union. So we are part of the same destiny and the same future. And of course, all the challenges and opportunities that there are in the Sahel have a direct impact on the European Union and vice versa. Because of course, we are very much connected, interdependent, and do not forget that the European Union is the main partner of the countries of the Sahel. And this means that we put a lot of money into the Sahel for development projects, humanitarian aid, for security, of course. And this means that our interest is concrete and is also moved by common principles. Because in 2021, the European Union defined its integrated strategy for the Sahel, in which we identified, after long consultations with our partners in the region, governance. Certainly, governance is the key for everything, because you have to imagine a region that is not something static. It's actually very dynamic. Many things happen. People are very active. There is a very lively and vibrant civil society. There are many opportunities for development and entrepreneurship. But unfortunately, there are also very many challenges in terms of security, terrorism, displaced people that have reached really millions, for instance, in Burkina Faso, coup d'etat that have definitely endangered our dialogue towards certain countries, because it's difficult to talk to countries where there is not a constitutional order. And of course, other challenges such as the environment and the climate change that of course are affecting very much the populations, and this is why the European Union remains always by the side of the population with humanitarian aid. So I just want to draw your attention to the fact that we are there. We are willing to continue to be engaged. Our engagement is very precious. The collaboration of the countries of the Sahel is fundamental. We strongly believe in them, and we strongly believe in the principle of ownership. This is why our collaboration is aimed at creating opportunities for the countries of the Sahel to be prosperous, to be really stable, and to be able to play the role they deserve to play at global level, especially now that the global order is endangered, and we need solid African states, because Africa is the continent that will determine a lot of destinies in the future. And we are working together with Africa to create this future.
I think there are Sahelians in the room. I'm one. I think I can claim that I am a daughter of this region, coming from Nigeria. And, you know, in UNDP and in the UN as a whole, I think we carry a weight in our hearts about the Sahel. This is a region where there's been obviously a lot of engagement, a lot of conversation. But we haven't always felt that those conversations have been, it's been about the Sahel, and most of the time not always with the Sahelians and not always with the voice of the Sahelians in the center. And I think that's something we've carried at our hearts, and that's led to a real soul searching about how we engage in the Sahel. A region, in my view, that is completely misrepresented, in terms of what it stands for. This is the birthplace of constitutionalism. Today we're talking about unconstitutionality. But if we dig deep in the history of the Sahel, this is where it all started. It's the birthplace of commerce, of civilization as we know it. The richest man in history comes from this area. I studied him growing up, Mansa Musa. All the great empires of the region were part of our history studies. And it's the Sahel we speak of today. Rich, diverse, the highest potential for renewable energy in the world, the largest, is in the Sahel. It's about 60% of the total potential of the world. This is not a poorly resourced region. The people, oh my goodness. Have you met the Sahelians? Forget about me, I'm kind of partially Sahelian. These are intellectuals, but also there's an abundance of humanity in this region. And in the UN, I think what we decided to do is to stop treating this region. Our Sahel is green. It's not the sort of deserty brown pictures that you see often, but it's actually possible to regenerate and build that great green wall that surrounds the region. And within that, we have an offer which is inviting partners to invest in a serious way in 3 tracks. One, governance, as was mentioned. That is the foundation on which many houses will be built to regenerate the Sahel. Without governance, we can forget about making it. Governance at all levels. It's the governance of things, local governance, but it's also natural resource governance. It's also political governance and the democratization that is necessary. The second pillar that we are prioritizing is energy. As I said, huge renewable energy potential that the world could invest in, again, in a serious way that would power industry and become a source of job creation for the immense number of young people that we have in the region. 60% of the population is under the age of 25. And the third one is youth. That in this construct, we need to recognize the importance of investing in youth, again, their innovation, their talent, and the immense energy that they have to build the future and the hope that they want to realize.
So Emanuela, we just had a very interactive panel with lots of people in the room, especially also from the region, and that doesn't always happen. It really bears witness to the attention that the Sahel is attracting here in New York. What impressions do you get out of this discussion we just had, and also from your visit and all the people you've been meeting?
I have to say, first of all, I want to thank the European Union Delegation because, to gather such a distinguished audience in an event such as this one is not that easy because, as you said, the Sahel is a very important issue, but it's also a very specific issue because people sometimes don't understand the importance and the relevance of that region. The impression I got is that, of course, people are very concerned, people are very engaged and competent on the region, and they want the best for the future, and this is why they are critical, but at the same time they make propositions, and there was a very good atmosphere in which there was a balance between challenges and opportunities, and I think that this is exactly the right spirit that we need for the moment to go on, because the European Union has declared also recently very loudly that wants to remain engaged in the Sahel.
Yeah. In the meeting we had also a representative of UNDP, the Regional Director for Africa. How strong is the partnership between the EU and the United Nations?
Well, it's very strong. It's very strong in terms of principles, goals, the will to improve the lives of the citizens of the Sahel and create projects that are really sustainable. We cooperate with many member states of the European Union are funding projects of the UNDP, and I have to say that as for what concerns my activity, I have established a very strong relationship with the UNDP with the idea also to produce projects that can be sustainable in the future and put together Africans and make them more protagonists on the global level, which is something that we need because they are still, unfortunately, very much marginalized. They don't participate in the global debate as they should, also because their contribution would be incredibly valuable. And this is something on which we still need to work more. But the European Union is doing a lot. We have projects for the youth, we have projects for the journalists, for women. I think we are in the right direction.
And my last question, you know, people here criticize us because they say you're so distracted by the Ukraine war, you're forgetting what's happening in Africa, conflicts that have been going on for so long. I don't think we can be distracted away from the Sahel with a representative like you. You keep reminding us. But what do you think? How do you respond to that accusation, so to speak?
Well, I have to tell you that this is a typical question that comes from everywhere, from heads of state, with whom I have a regular interlocution, to governments, to activists, to civil society. Everybody is concerned because, apart from anything, this war has attracted a lot of the attention of the European Union. We cannot deny that because it is such a serious issue. I can also say, nevertheless, that we never changed our approach to the Sahel. We haven't cut any funds, actually, and we are still determined to be engaged. Obviously, what we point out is that we are concerned with the fact that they feel as if they are not as central as Ukraine is now. But the issue related to Ukraine is a question of global order. We know that there is a very big power such as Russia threatening us in the most horrible way, and the lives of all the citizens of the world at the moment are at risk. And this is why we have to concentrate with all our strength towards Ukraine and to solve the problem, possibly with peace. The Africans understand that. Nevertheless, they want to insist because, apart from anything, the situation in their countries is disastrous. The security issues are incredibly serious, and of course they have to continue to ask and appeal to us for help. So it's a question of equilibrium, but we are concerned, and as I said, the European Union is engaged in the Sahel and will always be engaged in the Sahel.
And it's great to have you as the face of the European Union in the region.
Thank you very much, Silvio.
See you soon.
Thank you very much.